Since it is Friday, this is me. It's like I thought that I had everything squared away, but me being me, of course I didn't. So here we go to start things off on your Friday before we end up getting things all squared away on the show that leads us into the the weekend. John, hear you there, so we have to start it properly, right? Maybe there we go.
Come on, man. Go for it, dude.
It's Friday. Friday.
It is, and it's John here, you there once again on a Friday, and it is, it's one of them things where we got a lot to talk about, and it is a lot of stuff to talk about. We don't have a whole lot of time. This is one of those where you sit there and you wished you had like a lot more time to talk about things. So last night, it's stuff to talk about, and then it was. Oh, I don't know what happened the other evenings that have been happening here. So there's plenty to play with here this morning, and it's stuff with Atlanta United in hour number 2. We got Atlanta United to discuss with FC Cincinnati coming up this weekend. So let me see, Maddie, Jarrett, Nick, Bart. Oh, let's see. I know that we might be efforting guests out of other places in hour number 2. So let's see. You, yes, you. All right. So there, and that. So, all right. So we're getting there. We're getting there to alert the masses that might be dropping in. Hey, here's the deal. And Bart actually was awake, and because it was a late night for Bart, and understandably so. So it's one of them things, and so we'll see what happens here with. Hang on just a second, Bart. So let's see, hour 2, 10 till 11:05 ish. Special guest maybe. I know I'm like running way behind with all of my things. It'd be good if I could actually, I don't know, spell the 11. So there we go. Wait a second. Hang on. I am just, it's flying around. It's like yesterday you're trying to find the sound and you can't find it. You don't know where the sound is. And it's like, okay, is it there? Is it there? Is it there? And you're like, no, it's not there. All right. So now I think I got it squared away now. All right. So I think everybody's been alerted, which means I can bring Bart in now. And yeah. So yeah, it is slightly chaotic. So here we go. There's Bart. Bart had a late night, and not in a good way.
ELEVEN, John. 11.
11, 5 and 1.
Yeah. Well, John, I'm glad you brought me on this morning to talk about promotion and relegation in USL. That's what I'm here for.
Yes, you did. That is absolutely true. I have 2 separate pieces of tape that we can get to. We've got Mauricio Pochettino post-match last night, and we also have Tony Meola for those that didn't have the chance to see post-match on Paramount Plus. And I would recommend going to at Golazo America and watching the full 5-minute conversation, because I only pulled like the first minute of Tony and his analysis when he was brought to the table without an IFB and was trying to have a conversation. So we have those 2 pieces of tape to toss to if you wish.
Yeah.
So go ahead and proceed with the 1-0 Panama playing a 5-4-1, throwing 13 behind the 18, and the United States not making it to the final in Nations League. Go for it.
Well, first off, this is wildly disappointing and incredibly embarrassing. This is the first time ever that the U.S. men's national team has not advanced to the final of the Nations League. Obviously, the first time we've never won the tournament as a whole, and the first time we've ever been shut out in a Nations League finals match. So, not some history you want to be on the side of. And I think the most discouraging part of this was, John, as you laid out, you knew Panama was going to do that. And the fact that the team still came out there with a unprepared performance to deal with the Panama team that had zero intention of trying to score a goal until a minute from time. And, I think that's the frustrating part for the US is this is a lesson that you think we would have learned by now, and we haven't. But more importantly, John, I think you do have to look at the players and say, why didn't you play up to the level you should? You have to look at the coach and say, why did you make some of the decisions you made in personnel? I think that is the biggest question mark that Mauricio Pochettino has to answer after this. Is not only was his preliminary roster a little confusing, his then tournament chosen roster 23 was confusing. His 11 wasn't super confusing, but it definitely was questionable. And then his subs were even more mind-boggling because, look, Jack McGlynn seems like a really nice dude. I'm not trying to take a dump on him today. But if you need a goal later in the second half, Jack McGlynn's not the dude I'm bringing on, especially when you got Gio Reyna and Diego Luna sitting on your bench. And that decision is a very curious one from Pochettino because, well, I think Jack McGlynn is a perfectly fine player. I have no problems with him as a person or player. But is that the type of player who's going to break open a Panama team that was going to bunker? Because Jack McGlynn is a guy who can spray a ball left, right, down, the center, all these things. That wasn't the game Panama was playing. Diego Luna, Gio Reyna, one of those dudes could have made a very big impact. And this isn't even hindsight. We know Gio Reyna, looking back to last March, a year ago from this time, was an instant impact when he came off the bench in the Jamaica game in the semifinal, and then was the player of the match in the final of the Nations League Championship last year. That is a miss by Pochettino, and that is where I think he deserves a lot of blame, on top of the rest of the roster build that he had for this window.
50,295 at SoFi.
Okay.
Remember, tickets sold probably, and remember,
well, tickets sold for 2 matches, John.
Yeah,
that's the thing, because CONCACAF loves a twofer.
Yes, the folks to follow probably would have filled the barn to 50,295 at SoFi. A goal at 90+4 by Cecilia Waterman, who after the goal went and charged the Paramount Plus set and went to have a moment with Thierry Henry. And props to Paramount Plus for bringing him back when the match was over so he could explain what that was all about. Because you're sitting there, it's like, okay, Cecilia Waterman runs up to the set, and it's like, wait a minute, what are you doing? And then we find out how cool a moment it was, and then they let that breathe too. As we always are wont to do, Matt Turner got a 3 from our friends at Soccer America. And once again,
we're going to talk about Matt Turner.
Mike Waitala was the one giving the numbers. So Turner gets a 3. It was Musa, Richards, Reen getting 4s. Joe Scally gets a 3. Midfield numbers, Weston McKinney, Tyler Adams get 4s. Pulisic, Tessman get 3s. Timothy Weah gets a 5. Josh Sargent got a 3. Ajimon coming off the bench got a 3. McGlynn got a 3. Mark McKenzie gets a 4. Panama's won their last 3 competitive matches with the U.S., beat the U.S. 2-1 in the Copa America group stage and in a shootout in the 23 Gold Cup semis. And so now the U.S. will play Canada for 3rd place on Sunday. O'Shane Nation and his crew. Shots 5-1, USA 5-1 in shots. And you had, I think this is reversed actually. 12-3, I think was what the numbers were. 5 shots on target compared to 1. The 1 goes in the back of the net. 5 saves for Panama, 9 corners for the U.S., 11 fouls of the 16 called on the U.S., 3 of the 4 offsides called on Panama, possession 2-1. So please proceed after the report card from Soccer America, sir.
All right. Let's talk about Matt Turner.
I was going to say pop music. Okay.
No, let's talk about Matt Turner because the 3 is very much because of the last goal, right? And I don't think he was particularly tested throughout the rest of the match. So it's hard to judge him outside of the 1 goal conceded. Yes, I'm a member of the goalkeeper union. And as Tony Meola is correct, his positioning, Matt Turner's positioning in goal for that final shot was not great. I think we can all agree. But where the hell were his defenders leading up to it, John? I got screenshots of a dude, Waterman, the guy who ends up scoring.
Yes.
Tim Ream is relatively close to marking him before the ball gets passed to him. He drifts out wide a little bit. Tim Ream is still marking him. Joe Scally moves into the more central position.
Right.
The pass is made. Neither of those guys are marking him. He has somehow evaded 2 of our left-sided defenders for a relatively uncontested shot on Matt Turner, who, yes, is not in great position. But this is, one, we didn't clear our lines well to start it. You didn't recover the ball after that. And then you let a guy slip past 2 of your left center back and your left back wide open inside the penalty area. But sure, let's blame Matt Turner.
Tony Meola after the match, courtesy of our friends at Paramount Plus, and his analysis. And like I said, go to @Golazo America. Full 5-minute conversation, recommended listening. So here's what Tony said out of the blocks. It's about a little less than a minute. This is off the top, but go on and listen to the whole 5 minutes if you can find it. It's out there, and it's worth your time. So here's Tony Meola after the match. I'm thinking, or not. That's a good start. Way to go.
Yeah.
What are those views that we have?
Yeah, my first inclination is the ball can't end up in the back of the net. I look at the angle that Matt Turner took. I looked at the distance of the shot, where that shot was taken from. Okay, it was a little bit of pace. There's no doubt about that. I don't want to take anything away from the goal scorer, but in this moment, at this time, you look, Matt Turner's a little bit tucked in that near post, and I had a perfect angle from my vantage point here, and just a little bit of a hop just before he takes that, so his feet aren't planted. He doesn't have some explosion to his right. Look, in the end of the day, in a moment like this is and I'm not blaming Matt Turner, but those are moments where you have to find a way, just like a forward in the end, like Ajiman has to find a way to put the ball in the back of the net. Josh Sargent has to find a way. A goalkeeper on the other end of the field has to find a way to make a save.
So that was Tony Meola after the match.
And he's completely right. Again, was the positioning great? No. Should he maybe have saved it? Probably. But again, the fact that Waterman got that shot off, got that open, is the problem. Not necessarily Matt Turner not being able to make that save. Because again, if a guy gets a shot off inside your penalty area like that's not, the goalkeeper has nothing to do with that. A goalkeeper ain't in charge of that. And then I think Meola also brings up a great point. We had chances before this. And if you want to say, well, Matt Turner needs to save that, Agyemang needs to put that ball in the back of the net. Sargent needs to put a ball in the back of the net. Pulisic needs to deliver better crosses. Pulisic needs to deliver better corner kicks. Tessman needs to stop just turning and trying to find a diagonal and actually progress the ball upfield. Weah needs to, find a way to get a better cross off. Musa needs to do literally anything but just give the ball away on a pass. McKinney needed to be better. I mean, if you're going to single out Matt Turner in one moment, I get it. You want to look for someone to blame. There were 93 minutes before that people on the offensive side did not do their end of the bargain. And again, there were about 5 seconds before the shot was taken that defensive players didn't do their end of the bargain. So I will stand firm for Matt Turner, mainly because I don't think the goalkeeper is fully at fault for that. Again, was his positioning maybe off? Yeah, I think he should have been, for me, probably a little farther out of his goal. I know that's a hard theoretical goalkeeping concept, I would have maybe been a little farther off my line to give you some of that angle that you can cut down. But he shouldn't be this wide open to take a shot. That's just the reality.
When I'm processing the path of Matt Turner in my head, and I understand where folks are coming from, because Turner is trying to protect the near post.
Yes.
And that is your want in that situation, where you don't want to get beaten short side with something at 90+4. You don't want that to happen. So I understand why Matt Turner is where he is.
Correct.
I know that what you are positing is perhaps being further up the 6 a little bit in a straight line, as opposed to being out at an angle and trying to shut it down that much further. You're looking for it to be more straight to cut off the possibility of what Waterman ends up doing and going far post, because Matt Turner is playing a little closer. And what I mean by closer is closer to the player and instead of the post. So I understand where you're going there.
So part of the problem too is, and this is again a little bit to maybe be blamed on him not playing a whole lot, is he is seeing this as getting ready to cover, I think, his near post, as you mentioned, because you don't get beat near post there. But that angle, the near post, is not like you'll be able to save it, because he's not that close to it. So again, I think you could have been half a step toward the more central area of the 6. But again, I will continue to say the problem was the defensive side of things, allowing a player to run, to get free, to lose sight of a player. I mean, Tim Ream goes to mark him and then doesn't mark him. Joe Scally's pinched into this kind of defensive midfield conglomerate 3. Neither of those guys are taking care of a player running into the box unmarked, and that to me is the problem here. So yes, it's a goalkeeper union thing. I don't want Matt Turner to be blamed, but it's because why did our left-sided defenders let a dude run through the box unmarked?
Yeah, Mauricio.
You have Parky coming on this morning or Garza, because they could probably talk to you about that.
Yeah, if one of their lives is free and
I know
globetrotting, then
I would like their perspective, because I mean, I'm giving you a goalkeeper's perspective. I would like to know what they would have to say about that, because to me that was a defensive breakdown, a marking breakdown, right? Someone didn't pick up an unmarked runner, and I think Greg Garza, as a dude who John had a little bit of success as a left back, both nationally and for club, probably would have some words to say about that. And that's
I'm thinking. Here's Mauricio Pochettino. Part of what he said after the match, courtesy of our friends at CONCACAF. Unless, of course,
I think it's just slow today, John. It's Friday.
We feel very disappointed, because I think in the way that we approach the game and start the game wasn't in the right way. That is why I feel so disappointed, and we all feel disappointed. I think in the first half, I think we played too slow, so comfortable on the pitch. We didn't show aggression with the ball. And the consequence not to show aggression with the ball, I think we didn't show aggression, in a defensive way, because I think we didn't concede too much. I think it's only 2 or 3 shoot, only 1 on target that was goal in the last action. But I think when you knew that you need to be aggressive in the way that with the ball, when you have the space and trying to going forward, be clinical, be very mature about to approach the game. I think we didn't show that. I think first half, I think was really painful to see. Second half is true that after we fixed some sim and we changed and the approach, and of course we were more aggressive with the ball and start to take risk going forward, do movements. It's true that Panama is a physical team that is difficult to find the space, because in the system that they use, 1-5-4-1, I think it's not easy. But I think the second half we show, I think that was the way to approach the game from the first half.
A little bit of Mauricio Pochettino from the conversation that he had after the match. Once again, thanks to our friends at CONCACAF for that. He said it was painful in the first 45.
I mean, actually, I thought maybe the full 45, not great. But you had chances in the first half that I think when you look back as this U.S. team, specifically look at Josh Sargent hitting the post. I don't think he created a whole lot, and that's the big issue here is you did just not create enough chances. But you were fairly in control of the play and had better chances and better opportunities to create chances than Panama did the entire match, and you just didn't. That is the frustrating part.
And now you get Canada on Sunday for third place and not first.
Yep.
Two goals by Raul Jimenez made it 2-0 final. Mexico advances. So Mexico, Panama in your championship, and it is the U.S. and Canada. And this was also a point that I think was reinforced once again with a match at SoFi, or two matches at SoFi, is that SoFi is not the most wide pitch, shall we say. No. And so when you play the style that Panama does in that building, it makes it that much more difficult to try and break them down when you're used to something a certain size. And, you know, it is the medium pitch at SoFi being what it is. And they want to go 5-4-1, and it's like, yeah, okay, we're cool. And you get that one opportunity, and Cecilia scores, and that's ball game.
I think I saw the official being just over 69 yards wide. So that is not
okay.
No, I think it genuinely was. Okay. But I think the problem there, John, is that's still not wide compared to what most of these guys are going to play on. It needs to be expanded if you want to host World Cup matches. Again, it is shocking to me that the owner of the Los Angeles Rams, the dude who helped fund the stadium, did not plan for a soccer match there. It's shocking to me that Kroenke forgot about soccer for a minute.
Oh, boy.
Yes, that plays a big role in it for sure. But that to me is, again, where the U.S. didn't really try anything different.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was the disheartening thing, is it just was like, we weren't like the Remember the Titans line.
Mm-hmm.
We run 6 planes, just give it Novocaine. Just give it, just like Novocaine, give it time. It always works.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't working. The same 6 plays weren't going to work because Panama was ready for it. And they just needed to be slightly braver. I think in some of the passing, some of their own personal off-ball movements didn't seem to be very inventive. And again, when you got chances, I mean, Sargent had a chance. Aguimeng had the best chance of the match for us. And yes, their goalkeeper came up with the save, but that's also one that you think maybe he should put away. And if we're going to say Matt Turner has to save that one, then you got to say that Aguimeng needs to score that one. I think this is not necessarily a wake-up call, but I'm hoping it's a wake-up call for Mauricio Pochettino that maybe he doesn't need to be coaching charity soccer games on the side. He needs to be taking this job a little more seriously. I think it's very apparent that he does not have a good grasp on this player pool yet, based on the fact that while I think all the replacements he called in for this group being from the January camp is more because they're domestic and the late timing of the injury, but it's very clear he doesn't really have a handle of some of the non-domestic players, because there were guys left off the initial preliminary roster in favor of January camp from this year players that are better, just factually, and I think, I'm not saying this player would have changed the game, but you didn't bring in a guy like Brendan Aronson. You chose to drop him, right? From a dude who has been a part of this team for a very long time. And I'm not saying whether or not it's warranted or not, but you did that. It did not pay off. So now you have to figure out, there should be questions asked about that. You did not bring in, you did bring in Gio Reyna, Diego Luna. You didn't use them. You used you used Jack McGlynn.
Yeah, Jack McGlynn and Patrick Ajimong, yeah.
And so those are the questions that he's going to have to answer, because at the international level, a lot of it is player selection, because you've got to take the players that are available to you. How do you put them on the field? How do you get your best 11 on the field, and then how do you get your best players on after that? I don't think the lineup is terrible. I thought Musa and Weah playing made sense to me, because I think personally you want to try to get your best 11 players on the field more than you do like, oh, we have to find a replacement for a left back or a right back. Obviously, with Jedi and out, that's going to be a problem. But I'm just going to say this, John. Tim Reed's 87 years old, and I think it's a little disheartening that we don't have anyone else that can step into that. And that's not a knock on Tim Reed. That's asking where are the guys behind him claiming that spot. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
That's just where we're at. And again, everyone needs to kind of take a look inward and say, why wasn't I good enough in this match last night? I think Mauricio Pochettino is also going to have to ask himself some questions on how did he pick his lineup in this roster.
Yep. And so, Bart, I know that you will be having your continual thoughts this weekend with the USMNT on the Soccer for US POD. We do have one of our expert opinions coming in immediately to.
I genuinely want to know his opinion on this, because I would love, from a guy who has played at the highest levels, his expert analysis on what happened on that goal. Again, as a goalkeeper, I'm not going to blame everything on the goalkeeper. But I want to know his opinion, so I'm happy to hear from Parky.
All right, so let's we yield the floor and we bring in Michael Parkhurst, as Bart will now go into listener mode. Yeah, that's the look I was kind of anticipating, sir.
Morning, John.
Yeah. Morning, Cap. Yeah, we got some salty folks after what happened last night out at SoFi. First and foremost, let me go back. Did you watch said match last night?
Yeah, I watched most of it. I missed a little bit in the beginning.
And your thoughts, sir, R, question mark.
Shocked. Shocked, but not shocked, I guess.
Okay.
I think that obviously we were the better team most of the game. I mean, we create chances, have opportunities, and you don't finish them. And, we've all heard the story before. We've all seen it play out before. So, I think it's frustrating. I say shocked because it just seemed like Panama didn't even have an opportunity.
They did? No.
So it was like, and then he sticks it side netting when he gets an opportunity, and that's incredible. So yeah, just shocked that it went in, and that like, wow, we're actually going to lose this game, because no part of me ever thought like, oh, we're going to lose this game. I didn't think the performance was terrible, but good performances don't always lead to good results, and these are good lessons that we have to learn. I mean, yeah, of course, I wish we got the opportunity to play Mexico, because we need big games going into the World Cup, especially without qualifying. But I guess I always look at it glass half full.
When a team is coming into a match, and it's not quite the U12 pitch at Yankee Stadium, but it ain't quite, the wide track stadia that you would go up against in some CONCACAF venues. When you know a team is going to go 5-4-1, when you know that it's a tighter place than normal, how much of a challenge is it to break something down? Traditionally, when they're going to put 19 behind the ball anyway, it's going to be a challenge. But when they put 19 behind the ball and they're playing a 5-4-1 on a shorter pitch, how much added pressure is that to try to break something like that down, especially when you're not scoring later and later and later in a match?
Yeah, that's the key, right? It becomes very, very difficult the longer it goes. And, it's difficult to play against those teams. There's no doubt about it. And, I always used to view it like, if we are struggling, right, at some point, or if we're struggling, stop pressing, come back to our own half, let them have the ball, and try and counterattack. Now, we were creating chances last night, so I'm not saying that's what we needed to do. But, yeah, it's challenging. And, I think that's where you have to just put pressure on teams. And that we always used to say, pressure burst pipes. So balls in the box and winning second balls, and it doesn't always have to be pretty. And you fight for a knockdown and you get one, or you score one off a set piece, and then things open up a little bit, and then you can be patient, and they'll have to eventually come out. But obviously we never got that. But it's challenging, and the smaller field makes it even more challenging. But hey, they're not the only team that's ever sat back against the national team. So, and surely it was expected. So yeah, no excuses, honestly.
No, and I know we were also. I played the Tony Meola sound from last night, or at least part of it, because it was a good 5-minute conversation where Tony was looking at Matt Turner and saying, you gotta have that one. Much like the forwards, you gotta have those opportunities. You've got to create those opportunities. So Tony wasn't blaming Matt specifically. There was a lot of that to go around, but in that instance, I understood what Matt was doing positionally, and the defense kind of just let Waterman kind of do his thing toward the end. And it seems like a bunch of different things kind of cascaded into one moment where it just kind of just goes past Matt and into the back of the net for a loss.
Yeah, and I'm trying to take another look at it right now, but that's probably why the volume you heard. And yeah, I agree. I think it's easy for us to say, hey, you're 2 feet to the left instead of 2 feet to the right, and all these things. But I think there was a little bit of miscommunication on the back line. It seemed like Scally had gone with his guy and stepped up. Striker pulls out wide. Tim Ream doesn't want to get sucked out there. Scally doesn't know that the guy's running behind him, and now he's got a free shot inside the 18. So, yeah, definitely a little bit of miscommunication in that instance, and you pay the price. And these little moments, it's just unbelievable. And this is the difference between us having a successful World Cup and not, right? Say you play Panama, or I guess I don't know if we could, but you play the worst team in your group and you lose 1-0, even though you dominate the game. That's it. That could be your World Cup over, right? You go 1-1 and you're just out. Mm-hmm. And so, that's a reality. And, I hope that this group kind of understands that moving forward, because there are certain games you can't lose, and this is one of them.
Were you in a room by yourself watching this match? Were you with family? Was Deacon having to listen to yelling? What was the situation?
I actually watched it on the Spanish channel because I enjoy that sometimes.
I can relate. Yeah.
So Deacon was around. Kids one was at baseball practice. One was just getting home from softball practice. So they were kind of doing their own thing. So nobody else was watching or intrigued or anything. So
I was just checking, because there are times when we are in our environments, and if you're by yourself in an office and you scream at the top of your lungs, then the next thing is for everybody else to sit there and go, well, what happened? And then you're cursing at the television. I didn't know what the dynamic was last night.
Yeah, I don't find myself getting to that level right now. I will probably in the World Cup, but even last night where that goal went in, it was just like, wow, did that just go in? Does that count? Yeah. Did we just lose this game?
Yeah.
Not like upset or mad or frustrated or anything, kind of just like dumbfounded, I guess. So yeah.
When you have conversations with mentees about taking care of business, and in whatever form that is, I mean, things that you should be able to do and do them, and then they don't. How do you have these conversations about understanding that moments like this happen, and try to prevent the moments like this from continuing to happen, to where once is and okay, but you don't turn it into a trend? Do you talk about controlling mistakes and getting over mistakes, and how to get past it, and how to improve from situations?
Oh, totally. Yeah, it's one of the biggest things we talk about, because it affects athletes in every sport at every level. And with the younger generation specifically, we talk a lot about expectations going into it, right? And we say, you need to expect that you're going to make mistakes. That way, when you do make a mistake, you're not surprised, you're not shocked, you're not disappointed in the moment, right? We can analyze things afterwards, and we can be disappointed in a mistake or performance or whatever, right? But in the moment, there's no time for those things, not in soccer anyways. So if we know that we're going to make mistakes, right, we can't control what just happened, right? It's gone. All we can control is the reaction. And so if we can let go of that as soon as it happens and just control the reaction, that's the best we can do in that moment. And usually the mistake doesn't matter if the reaction's good. Most times you can make up for it. Every now and then, of course, you can't. It ends up in the back of the net, and you try and make up for it later in the game. But most of the time we can. So yeah, overcoming those things is critical. Game to game is a little bit more challenging, but in game for sure is a lot based on expectations. And we especially the attacking players, we say, hey, make a few mistakes, please, because if you're not trying to have an effect on the game. Right? You don't want your number 10, your strikers and your wingers to have 100% pass completion or anything like that, right? That's not how you're going to win and showcase and do really well, right? Go one-on-one, take shots, try and play through balls, all those things. And when you do those things, you're going to make mistakes.
How difficult is it, though, to develop short-term memory regardless of what position you're in? I mean, I would imagine that if you're up top, you know that you're up there to put the ball in the back of the net, and you're up there to have the confidence to do it. When you're more of a defensive posture, it's almost, I would think, amplified. The mistakes could be amplified, whether it's defense or keeper or whatever. Is it easier for attackers to have short-term memory, or is it easier for defenders and keepers to have a short-term memory to continue to learn and proceed from a mistake?
It should be easier for attackers, just because one goal can really make up for 4 missed chances. Even last night, with Aguiman, if he finishes the second one, nobody remembers that he missed the first one.
True.
2 massive chances, but I think for defenders it's a little bit more challenging sometimes because like what you said, usually the mistakes are punished more often and they're just more noticeable. They're more present, right? So yeah, as a defender, it can be a little bit more challenging because you can play a really, really good game for 89 and 58 seconds. And those 2 seconds, you make a big mistake and you lose 1-0. Now, all of a sudden, everybody's looking at you like, man, how could you have made that mistake? So it's definitely a little more challenging for defenders than attackers.
Then how do you keep from turning it into quicksand, basically, where if you make a mistake and another, I feel like I'm quoting Shane Falco from The Replacements. It's like you try to avoid quicksand. You make one mistake, you make another and another, and you just feel like you're sinking. How do you, I guess, we gotten into the prevention of that, but how do you pull yourself out of that quicksand? Is it one moment, or is it a series of moments to develop confidence, or does it depend on the individual where somebody could have that one moment and they're back up and running, and then someone's got to sit there and have a couple of reinforcements before they feel comfortable all over again?
Yeah, it's really on the individual, but of course there's things that we try and institute that help out, and it's a lot of it based on experience. Have I lost a couple nights of sleeps throughout my career when I played a really good game but made a mistake and we gave up a goal? Yeah, of course. And so we try and help our athletes really focus on, what did you do well today, right? I know that you probably did some bad things. What did you do well coming out of the game, right? And try and focus on our positives. It's easier said than done. If you make a mistake early in the game, you come back from it. That's a lot easier, right? If last night, say that ball went through Matt Turner's legs, or Scally got nutmegged and they scored a goal, right? At the last minute, that's a lot more challenging, right? Because now you got to sleep on it. Now you can't really make up for it until you get another opportunity on the field. So that can be a little bit more challenging. That becomes tough. And we just, hey, you can control what you can control. Mistakes are going to be made. And hopefully you've got some good teammates that can rally around you and really pick you up in those moments.
When you have, when you're in one of those kinds of moments and you're trying to dust yourself off in this, what was it for you, or did your attitude change over time when it came to turning off a mistake and putting it behind you? Did you, at first, I guess when you were younger, did you kick yourself longer? Did you get over it over time? Did you still kick yourself the constant rate as you were still a professional? How did your level of adjustment go? Did you beat yourself up as much as you did earlier in your career, later in your career, is I guess what I'm asking.
Not as much.
Okay.
Not as much. I think that early on in the career, it's a little bit easier to read what people are saying online, to care about such things, and I think you're still out trying to prove yourself, right? And prove like, oh, yeah, that's not me, type thing. Versus, later on in my career, not that I'm not still trying to prove things, but I think you have a little bit more self-confidence, and like, hey, I've made these mistakes before. I can bounce back from this. And then you turn the page and you focus on getting better at training, right? If you don't have another game upcoming, that's the only way you can do it. Honestly, it's tough, and it takes experience. There's no doubt about it, right? It's one thing to make a mistake in a game. It's another thing to make a mistake in the Olympics or in a Champions League game. You're representing your country and you make a huge mistake, and now you feel the weight of a lot more, and that's challenging.
Michael Parkhurst at MF Parkhurst on the 280 Character app, at BG Mentoring on the 280 Character app, BeyondGoalsMentoring.com, and all that you and Greg Garza do is fantastic to help the upcoming generations when it comes to understanding all these things in context and ways to proceed through it. And whether it's video or conversation, the whole wide-ranging bit. And that's why we like to have you on here for the Friday Free Kick every single Friday that you're not globetrotting, sir. What are you noshing on there, sir?
I'm not eating anything. I meant to wear something today, and I forgot.
Oh, you did? Oh, dude. There it is. Adam.
Yeah.
Look at that. There it is from Olive in York, right there.
Beautiful.
So did you personalized with the Carolina blue, sir? Can I say that? Actually, the light blue. Do we have to say light blue for you?
Yeah, it's light blue. It's definitely not Carolina blue.
Yeah, so there it is. There's the Kaiser Permanente sponsored Michael Parkhurst jersey, and we thank you for that, because it's very, very cool that you are there to help us out, you and Greg and Beyond Goals and Kaiser, to wear the Olive in York presented Kaiser Permanente SDH jersey to help us out for Soccer for Good here in 2025. That's strong. That's pretty good. I thought you were going to bust out your Rhode Island gear and wear that on the show this morning.
No, sir. Way more important than that.
It's just, but once again, it's very. I will say this: it's very humbling when someone cracks open an envelope and you sit there and you flash something like that, and that's very, very, it's very, very humbling, very, very cool. You've disrupted my train of thought, sir. I hope you're happy.
I am.
Yes. When you have, we talk about moments, and we talk about quicksand, and we talk about young athletes, and we talk about all these things with trying to get over mistakes or get past mistakes. I would think a lot of times it's easier said than done. And you mentioned the context of match versus representing your country and all these kinds of other things. I would imagine, at least, for those of us of a certain age, that were born, after the Industrial Revolution that just started happening, that it's probably a little bit more difficult for folks of certain ages to get over things than it is a lot younger folks. Do you find that to be the case, where you're having interactions with adults, and adults may act a certain way, but with your mentees, they let things brush off a little better than we would? Or because of social media, is it just as difficult, but in a different way, to have things brush off?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is personality as well. Versus, how confident is the person? In what way did they make their mistake? Was it in something that they feel comfortable in or not? What were the repercussions from the mistake? Those types of things I think really affect how how the person is able to bounce back from things. But yeah, I will say that a lot of the younger generation can bounce back from things pretty quickly. But I also think some of that is based off of how the parents bounce back from things and their reactions to the mistakes and things like that. So I think that we can have a real effect on the next generation, no doubt, as parents and our children's resiliency.
How difficult is it to change a younger person's wiring or their DNA when it comes to stuff like that? Because I would imagine that if you have a student athlete that is incredibly self-conscious, it might take a little more for them to turn it around than, say, someone who is instantly confident. So, I mean, I would imagine that you're getting a bunch of different student athletes and a bunch of mentees that come at it from different ways.
Yeah.
How hard is it to sit there, the ones that are less confident, how much of a task is it for you and Greg to try to turn them around and have them understand, yeah, it's okay. It's okay to fail, learn from failing. And they may not buy it initially. They're just like, I don't know. And they're always, sometimes there might be tougher nuts to crack, say.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's slow and steady. It's not going to be overnight. It's not going to be a one conversation and then all of a sudden they've got a different mentality, right? It's difficult to learn new habits and institute new things. So we'd be patient with our mentees for sure. And we know that it's not easy for kids, especially you're dealing with peer pressure and you want to impress other kids your age. And there's a whole host of things they're going through that have nothing to do with kicking a soccer ball, yet affect the confidence on the soccer field. So it's challenging. There's no doubt about it. But it's not impossible. And we've seen some kids start to change, and we do it little by little, right? Just little focusing, little tidbits and little changes to the habits of, okay, what's the first thing I think about when I come off the field? Or what's the first thing I think about when I step onto the field? Little things like that where you slowly start to change habits.
When you have these, let me phrase it this way. How many mentees do you and Greg currently have? I know the answer is a lot, but can you put a number to it?
Probably 250.
Wow. No, that's cool. That's tremendous. Do you and Greg have individual files on each mentee with, for lack of a better phrase, progressions and growth charts? It's like, okay, first meeting was this. Then, I noticed this. Do you keep notes on all of your mentees, or is it just, how do you guys keep everyone straight so where you're in tune with their learning process going forward?
Yeah, we do keep notes because, it can be challenging, especially if you go 6 weeks, 8 weeks between talking to a mentee. You need a refresher of, okay, where was this athlete at? And we sometimes have crossover, right? An athlete will do a couple sessions with me, a couple sessions with Greg, and we don't want to repeat things. So we take notes and we share notes. So it's, hey, what did you talk about? And then also because we don't have a set curriculum, right? It's not like, hey, session 1 is this, session 2 is this, session 3 is this. So even if Greg's done 2 sessions with a kid, I don't know what he's talked about, right? So we keep notes on every athlete that we've spoken to. That way, hey, if I have one of Greg's kids, I shoot him a message, hey, share that with me, so that we're on the same page.
Are you able to read Greg's handwriting?
Oh, John. Everything's on the computer, John. No handwriting. Although I do think Greg's got good handwriting.
Do you understand his notes? Are the notes like in actual sentence and paragraph forms where you can sit there and take the information and fully understand where he's coming from? Or is it shorthand and you sit there and go, man, what does Garza say here? And you have to dial him up and go, what are you talking about?
That's a good question to ask Greg next time he's on, because he takes really good notes and writes sentences. And I'm more like, hey, 2 words here and 3 words there, and like, hey, confidence, and then 3 other words under confidence, versus Greg will, really having a little more elaborate note than I do. So I think that he gets it, but I think it's also good because, we adapt what we talk about sometimes, and, I for example, I don't know, what was I listening to or reading? I don't even know, the other day, and I heard something or saw something that was really cool, and I'm trying to find the note right here. It was a person with a positive attitude can affect the group or another person by 15%. But a negative person and approach to thing can affect that same person or group by 30%.
Twice as much impact on a negative.
Yeah. So and we're talking about how valuable it is to be a good teammate and have a positive effect on other people, and also to be aware of said teammates that are, or friends that are having positive or negative effects on you, because the negative effect is so much stronger than the positive effect, which makes sense when we think about, 80% of our thoughts daily are negative. So everything negative is way more stronger than it is positive. I've heard that in the past, as far as you have to think about something positively for like 3 or 5 times longer than something negative for it to stick in your brain and impact it as much.
Yeah, I could definitely.
So, we adapt things that we talk about. And so when I read Greg's notes, I can say, oh, shoot, he's talking about something we've never talked about, or, an example or a story or whatever. And then I can implement into mine.
See, now you opened another door that we're going to have to talk about next time you're on, about positive thoughts and negative thoughts, considering the numbers are twice as more impactful negatively than positively. But what I did want to discuss before you get out of here, other than the fact that are you flying to Phoenix for the match tomorrow?
I'm actually driving to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina later today.
Taking your clubs?
What's that?
You taking your clubs?
I wish. I'm taking the whole house, John, except the clubs.
Oh.
My daughter's got a high school softball tournament for spring break down there, so the whole crew's going.
And you're bringing all the bats and the balls and the gear, and I just have this vision of the Parkhurst Wagon Queen family truckster just packed with softball gear in the back. It's like softball gear, softball gear, softball gear. Oh, what are you packing for the trip? Oh, my bag that's about this size. Literally, it's like, I'll just wear the same thing because we don't have any room in the car to pack anything involving actual clothing. It's softball first, and then we get to fill the rest of the car with like clothes and things. I see how this works.
Exactly.
I see how this works. Atlanta United going to Cincinnati. MLS decides that they want to continue to play through international breaks, so it creates challenges for coaching staffs and players and depth and all these kinds of things. How much of a challenge is it when you're early on in the year and you're getting relationships? You might be just past the hello, my name is name tag part when you're trying to figure out, okay, this guy does this guy does this, and you get an international window in there, and then you're going on the road. How much of a challenge is it to deal with a variable you thought you had, and then you've got an international window and you got to deal with a variable all over again?
Yeah, it's challenging, especially when you're a team that's put together a lot of new pieces this year and you're struggling to, create goals, score goals, and you're looking for that consistency. That's tough. But as with everything, it's opportunities for other players. And, I don't know, Cincinnati, I don't think probably are too thrilled with how their season's going either right now. And I don't even know if Miles is healthy for the match. Yeah, we'll see. So, obviously if he's not, it makes life easier. So, yeah, but it's tough. These international breaks are challenging. But it's, I will say, as a younger player on the roster, you look forward to these games because like, hey, I might have my opportunity here to get more playing time throughout the rest of the season. So it's a really big game for those players in particular.
No doubt. So how long are you in Myrtle with the softball?
A week, yes. Friday. Well, they have to be down there tomorrow. We're driving halfway tonight, and then come back on either next Friday or Saturday.
So is Deacon going to be the security system while you're gone?
Nope. She'll be in between the kids.
Oh, please take pictures.
John, I don't think there's going to be enough room for me in the car to turn around and take a picture. I don't think you're going to be able to see anyone. just stuff.
It's like you get pulled over. Mr. Parkhurst, were you able to see out the rear view? No, because there was a dog and a bunch of softball equipment.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you once again for flashing the Olive and York jersey and being a part of our family here at SDH with what you guys are doing with Beyond Goal. See, there you go. There it is.
Yeah, beautiful.
And yes, the light blue to go with the navy and the personalization there, because we can't use the C word in front of blue considering your particular school. Thanks for dropping in, especially on Friday. And just be safe, have fun, rent some clubs. Maybe you could do that. Maybe you could find some time to steal. Just be safe getting down there. Be safe getting back. We'll catch up with you soon. And obviously we'll have matches to talk about involving trips to Phoenix and Loudoun for the Rhode Island FC. Getting ready for Oakland Roots, April 5th at the Oakland Coliseum. Complete with rats and raccoons and probably 25,000 people. Be safe, my friend. Thanks as always. We'll catch up with you soon.
Thanks, John. Have a great weekend.
There's Parky, and it's always great to catch up with Michael. And very, very cool that he much like you can have the Olive and York issue jersey from our friends at Kaiser Permanente on the front. We can't do anything. We can't do a lot of the things that we do. Who we kidding? We can't do everything without them. And thanks to them for being title sponsors for a lot of stuff that we do and title sponsors here at the network. You can go to Olive and York, get your SDH jersey, Kaiser Permanente on the front, Beyond Goals, Soccer for Good, and it goes to help out our causes that we have earmarked here to start things off in 2025. Also, Grady Baby Co. I know that some of you are waiting for your shipments. What you can do there is you can help out middle school soccer programs attached to Atlanta Public Schools. And you can do that with Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co. With that collaboration here in 2025. SDH on the left sleeve, Grady Baby on the right sleeve. Soccer's just better in Atlanta across the front. That you can pick up from our friends at Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co. You can go to soccerdownhere.net and you can shop. You can get all of our SDH gear there. You can also get some retro gear. I want to say it's Ruckus and Attack, if I'm not mistaken, that Jason has artistried and pieced together, and you can pick up that at soccerdownhere.net along with the SDH network gear. And let's see. Marshall Islands. By the way, I don't know how many of you follow Jillian on social media, but Jillian Sakovitz has now got her Marshall Islands order. And she can also pick up a scarf on the other end of this door, because you order everything from our friends at the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation in their Kickstarter campaign. By the way, day one, they surpassed 10% of their marker that they think they're going to need for the hosting of the tournament in mid-August, the Outrigger Cup. And it's going to be them, Guam, Turks and Caicos, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. That is going to be August 14 through 16. And yeah, Turks and Caicos, UVI, USVI, and Guam are going to be at John Brown University for between the 11th and the 17th, 4-team international soccer tournament, the Outrigger Cup. And it's going to be right there in Springdale, Arkansas at John Brown University. And you can help out. They have a Kickstarter campaign if this is something that you would be so inclined to help participate in. Right now, staring at it, it looks like they're at about 12 or 13% of their goal after maybe a couple of days. And so we're going to have Lloyd Hours and Matt Webb from the technical director and director of communications and marketing. I think Matt's going to be on. I know that Lloyd is. In hour number 1 on Tuesday. So we're going to catch up with them, find out about Lloyd's last trip to the islands and how things are growing, and then from there, how things are, what they're looking for, how the Outrigger came to be, and where they're going to go from here as they continue to grow. So once again, you can get all your Marshall Islands gear at the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation website. If you order a scarf, it comes from me. Other side of the door. We got scarves from the Marshall Islands. So if you want to order one, it ends up being a note that is sent to Matt in England. You get all the rest of the gear from them and player layer. Scarves come from me here at Office HD on the other side of the door. But right now, it looks like 12 or 13% after like a day or two on the board for the Kickstarter project to try and have the Outrigger Cup in Arkansas for that second full week in August. And yeah, I'm probably going, and the boss probably is going to be going too. So right now, pledged goal just under $26,000 US, and right now they've got a little over 3,300 US. So that's where they are after one rush of information and everything. So you can be a part of the Marshall Islands campaign. Madison Cruz, by the way, modeled the scarf, and it is still up on the website. Part of her project when she was an intern here at SDH. Then it is, so I'm trying to sing if I've forgotten anything. It is the Grady Baby kickoff, opening kickoff, presented by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. You start your day there. Use the code SoccerDownHere15 when you check out. Then in turn, they take 10% reinvested into youth games, youth initiative stuff that they have earmarked as cool. Our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. I think that's everybody. Being a Fanatico. That's the other thing I forgot. You can be a Fanatico, and for $10 a year, what do you do for $10 a year? Well, you can be a Fanatico, and here, let's see. So it's group. Let me see if I can remember it. Group.chant.fan/soccer down here, all one word, provided I could spell. Soccer down here /join. Let me see if I spelled it correctly. I did. Well, what do you know? Did it blindly too. There you go. Group.chant.fan/soccer down here /join. And you can be a Fanatico here at SDH. And then what that does, you go to the Chant app. There's the SDH section on Chant. And then it's all about getting you ready for everything during your day. You get to have conversations with other Fanaticos. And the Flood Project, Scott Flood and the Flood Project, is actually having a current contest on Flood Project social media where you can gain a Fanatico's membership. And there are more folks that are being added to the benefits section and being a partner. So it is now this way. Brass Tap, Moxie Hotel in Midtown, 20% off all hotel food and beverage if you are a Fanatico. South Main in Watkinsville, Schoolhouse in Marietta, Hard Cider Marietta, Elixir in Buford and Monroe, Round Trip in Marietta in the East Cobb location, Social Fox in Norcross, Keys to Flavor Catering in Sugar Hill, 15% off your first catered event, Fado Midtown, O'Sullivan's, Beers, 10% off your food bill, 10% off your merch. And remember, WPSL season coming up soon, so we'll be spending time over there getting ready for everything with Decatur FC. Lloyd's Soccer, 20% off select Atlanta United gear. Finished Goods Brewworks in Winder, Slow Pour in Lawrenceville, Outrun in Stone Mountain, Tires Plus in Alpharetta, Dad's Garage, Chateau Arenal, my personal favorite. You get a percentage off of your booking if you are a Fanatico. El Castillo, San Ramon, Costa Rica. So literally, if you want to go see Alabalense, you want to go see Saprissa, you want to go see Herediano, you can stay at Chateau Arenal. You get a discount if you're a Fanatico. Battle and Brew, Sandy Springs and the Battery, Wild Leap, also in Atlanta. And there are others that are joining as we go here. So join, be a Fanatico. And you can do that at group.chant.fan/soccerdownhere/join. So there we go. That is how you can help out and continue to be a part of what's going on here at SDH. All right, so let's say hi to everybody who is in this morning. Morning, Alex. Morning, David. Morning, Bam. Bam apparently is heading to the States. Bam's going to come and hang out here in the States. I did not see Bam, a player getting booked after he was subbed off. I did not see this. So Bam is letting us know about these kinds of things as he is 16 hours. I think he's 16 hours ahead of us. So let's see. Where was it? So Bam is on, Bam's on Twitch. So where's the link? So I need the new. And this is what happens when you're trying. Here we go. Okay, so New Zealand player getting booked after being sent off, subbed off. And so Chris Wood booked for going into the crowd to sign autographs for fans during New Zealand's 7-0 win over Fiji. He scored a hattie, and so he got booked. So Chris Wood, it's like he's helping fans out and he's doing the thing. It's like, hey, I got, some Kiwi fans and some Fijians, they want my autograph. And so dude's day is done. And I don't know, like I said, this might be something that Bart would probably have a better idea of when it comes to booking a player. His day was done. Team's up 7-0. He gets subbed off. He goes to sign autographs. He gets booked. I mean, come on. I'm just saying. But anyway, Bam is coming to the States. He's going to go see LAFC at San Diego. And very, very cool that Bam will be on this side of the planet for a change. He'll only be 3 hours behind as opposed to 16 ahead. And David and Bart having conversations. Morning, Bam. Abel, yes. Obviously, the stadium was filled for the Mexico match because, like we said, 59 something. Morning, Harry. Morning, Locketville Batson. And let's see. So, morning, Bart, the Dirty Myrtle. I did not know that was a nickname of it. Well, and to be honest, Bart, I think you could probably, if you went to Myrtle, you probably could figure out what vehicle the Parkhursts travel in. I'm just saying. I'm probably sure that it wouldn't be hard to figure out. And so Alex says, "Don't think of this as bad. It's a chance to flex your dad luggage Tetris powers." Yeah, and that's that is the thing. So yes. So morning, Alex. National Common Courtesy Day. Newcastle Football Club legend Chris Wood. Sorry, thank you, Alex. Thank you for the clarification. National Common Courtesy Day. David's wondering how he can make this part of his day and how many others will participate. But the thing is here. How many others knew coming in, David, that this was Common Courtesy Day? That's the other question here. How many other folks knew it was Common Courtesy Day? I did not. It seems like everything has its day now. Everything has a day. And I don't think I'm alone in this. I don't think I'm alone. I'm just thinking that, to be perfectly honest, I didn't know. I legitimately did not know that this was Common Courtesy. And that's the thing. Well, but I don't know if it would be a common courtesy to know that this is Common Courtesy Day because, you are doing a common courtesy by letting everybody know it's Common Courtesy Day. I just didn't know it was Common Courtesy Day going in. So David is exuding Common Courtesy Day by letting us know it's Common Courtesy Day. I didn't know that. Like I said, I didn't know. So, that's just, you are doing a common courtesy. Now it's up to others to continue to spread the fact that it is Common Courtesy Day. I was not aware of this. So, you learn something more every day. Hour number 2 is Weekend Whip Around, patent pending, trademark coming sooner, hopefully, rather than later. We go through all the matchups, go through the juice boxes as they have been updated in Major League Soccer, and get you ready for the weekend and what your thoughts are. Once again, as we go, Jason should be joining us at some point in this hour. Like I said, we might be catching up with Laurel Phaler to get a bit of an update from FC Cincinnati's time and place. I think it's looking more and more likely that Miles will play for FC Cincinnati, and so we'll get all the ins and outs, and we'll compare Laurel's initial starting 11 to what it may end up being as we get closer and closer to things. For the leadoff game at 2:30, which means it's a leadoff game at 2:40 on tomorrow afternoon. We'll go over broadcast plans and all those other kinds of things. Yes, common courtesy. Yes, the Soccer for Good OG should be Common Courtesy Day every day. Absolutely true. This is absolutely correct that it should be Common Courtesy Day every day. There's nothing wrong with being nice, and it goes to the point that that Parkey made, that apparently a negative thought sticks with someone twice as longer as a positive thought. 15% to 30% and having to rethink those things. I did not know that. That's a good statistic. It makes sense that negative thoughts, it's easier to have a negative thought than it is to have a positive thought. Negative thoughts you can just kind of toss off and sit there and go, hey, here it is. Positive thoughts, there has to be some forethought by the individual before it becomes second nature to have a positive thought. And that is why I make a conscious effort here on the show and in my everyday to let everybody know how I feel. That's just how I'm wired. It's like, okay, and it took a while to get to this. Do not get me wrong. It took a while to get to this point. So it is something that took a while to process, and it once it is processed and it's in your DNA and your daily thought pattern, it becomes a lot easier to sit there and tell someone what you feel, say something positive, be there for somebody, those kinds of things. That first act, after that first act, it takes a less and less and less time for it to become second nature for you. Well, and David, this is absolutely also true. The extra people he's let in to merge on the connector is going to slow him down. But once again, you're doing common courtesy, and that's the other thing. Are you? And this is in the collective sense. This is for David to answer and for everybody else. When it comes to letting folks in, do you let one in and go? Or if there are folks who are kind of nudging past you, do you just kind of sit there and it's like, yeah, okay, whatever, fine, go ahead. So for me, it's like you let one in, then you go. Not as many folks are as wired in that situation. You'll see other folks will sit there and they'll push the gas and they'll block the person that came all the way down to the end of the line or wants to merge in at some point. But for me, it's like if I see somebody, it'll be letting that one person in and then going forward. It's almost like it's a four-way stop. That's kind of how I'm wired in these situations. Okay. Juice boxes and going through the rest of Major League Soccer here on the weekend. It is a very, very busy Saturday. There's only the one match on Sunday, and that is Austin and San Diego. But that's the last one that we'll talk about because it's the last one on the grid. Atlanta United, before we get into more in-depth discussions about it, FC Cincinnati favored at a minus 135. Your draw's a plus 286. Atlanta United is a plus 332. Both the offenses, I think, are going to be in pretty decent shape. It's the defenses that might be the questions. For Atlanta United, it's the one position at the back and maybe how the midfield is. Obviously, we need to find out about the health of other individuals like Mateus Klick, et cetera, and where he is, and can he be a part of the midfield going to Cincinnati. So that would be one of the larger questions going forward for Atlanta United. And like I said, if Laurel if Laurel can't make it, we'll go back and reference Queen City Press and her last thoughts that she has published. And we'll go over what she thought about Cincinnati and what Pat Noonan has said about FC Cincinnati getting ready for this matchup. 2:40 on Apple TV. The other matchup in the afternoon before we get to the night side, it is Minnesota United and LAG. Minnesota United at Allianz. And this one is also an afternoon matchup on Apple TV. Minnesota United is a minus 101. Your draw is plus 263. LA Galaxy right now, last in the West, is a plus 250. And once again, it's like I figured a lot of the pressure for LAG was going to be falling on folks like Diego Fagundes and Marco Royce. And there haven't been a whole lot of goals scored by LAG so far this season as they wait for the return of Paintsel and they wait for Ricky Puig later on in the year to see how many matches he can give. We'll go through recovery and everything, but that's way down the line. Trying to figure out how to replace Dejan Joveljic, how to replace the output of Joseph Paintsel till he returns, and how to get output out of Diego Fagundes on the left. That has been the question so far for LAG, and there haven't been a whole lot of positive answers. So understandably, Minnesota United at a minus 101, favored at 430. The 730s, and you will probably see a 5-box, a pentabox, 5-star maybe, or a 3x2 for our friends at MLS 360. Charlotte and the Quakes. Charlotte a minus 143. Quakes are a plus 348. Your draw is a plus 294. Dean Smith was given a contract extension through 27, I believe. So you'll have Dean Smith hanging around in Charlotte for another couple of seasons currently, as how it is all laid out. So keep an eye on all of that for Charlotte. But once again, for Charlotte, it is okay. You're gonna kind of figure out who's gonna help. Who's gonna help score? Who's gonna help on the scoring? That's probably your larger question when it comes to Charlotte at the moment. You're thinking it was going to be Liel Labata and Pep Biel. But right now, the philosophy, and we haven't seen it change, it's like, okay, we'll let Wilf handle it. And so right now, Charlotte at a minus 143. They are favored hosting San Jose. And apparently, we don't know which San Jose traditionally we're going to get. Do you get the one that scores a lot of goals, or do you one that lays an egg like they did last week at home? That's probably why San Jose is almost a plus 350. Crew hosting NYC. Crew is a minus 128 at home, understandably so. Draws a plus 250, and NYCFC is a plus 367. And 2025 MLS International. Seen out. Traditionally, MLS will give you that list of folks that have been called up in this window. And so, okay, here we go. Every MLS call up. There we go. So you're looking for Charlotte once again. No Ajimong, no Abada, no Ream. Before we move on to this one, no Ajimon, no Abada, no Ream, and so it's going to be Pep Biel and Wilf Zaha. They're going up against San Jose. For San Jose, it is Joseph. We got called up for Venezuela, and Nico Shakiris for the U20s. So Crew and NYC. Columbus, no Arfston, no Farsi, no Taha Habrun, and no Patrick Schulte. And then for NYC, it is no Bayera, US U18s, Alonso Martinez for Costa Rica, Tomas Romero for El Salvador, and Zidane Yanez for Chilean U18s. So Crew at a minus 128, understandably so, at home, even though they have no Arfston and Farsi, they're still pretty stacked at the back, and NYC just hasn't been scoring any goals. So once again, NYC a plus 367. I see Crew in that one as well. Red Bulls in Toronto at 7:30. Red Bulls a minus 169. Draws a plus 277. Your win for Toronto FC outright is almost a plus 500. So for Red Bulls, no Carlos Coronel for Paraguay. Yenjar for Norwegian U21s. Curtis Ofori for the Ghanaian U20s. Tanner Rossborough and Aiden Stokes for the U17s. And Omar Valencia for Panama. Then for Toronto FC, no Davy Flores, no Jonathan Osorio, no Tyree Spicer. So you Davy Flores, one of the linchpins for Robin Fraser so far, along with Jonathan Osorio, not there. Toronto plus 498, understandably so. Purple team in DC United. Purple team's a minus 133. Draws a plus 288. DC is a plus 326. For Orlando, no Bracalo, no Galese, and Colin Gusky is out for the U18s. For DC United, no Matty Peltola, who is across the pond for the Euros, and Kai Rolls for Australia in their qualifiers. Purple team, understandably so, at a minus 133, figured that would be their favorite. Philadelphia and all caps, St. Louis City at 7:30. St. Louis City SC in the Bradley Carnell Derby. For Philadelphia, absences, Barabo, Blake, Bueno, Gazdag, Danley Jean-Jacques, Neil Pierre for the U18s, Frankie Westfield for the U20s for the U.S. So if you have Ty Barabo in your fantasy like I do, change it. Then for St. Louis, no Tyson Pierce. So St. Louis is coming in fairly unscathed, but for Philadelphia, no Barabo, no Blake, no Bueno, no Gazdag, Danley Jean-Jacques, Neil Pierre, and Frankie Westfield. A lot of that offense that's not there that we've seen so far from Philly in the name of Ty Barabo, not present. Absent, sir. Ty Barabo's at, somebody saw him at 31 Flavors last night. So Philadelphia favored, but on the plus side, at a plus 127, draws a plus 250, and your draw for St. Louis City, plus 193. That one might be the draw play. Nashville and CF Montreal, 8:30. Nashville to minus 179, draws a plus 305, and CF Montreal at a plus 466. No Joel Waterman for Montreal. Puts more pressure on George Campbell. And then for Nashville, no Matthew Corcoran is of the USU 20s, Andy Nahar for Honduras, and Jacob Schaffelberg representing Canada. Nashville, big favorite at home, probably the way that it's going to be. Also at 8:30, Sporting and LAFC. And then you've got the folks that have thrown a blanket over this juice box. Sporting at home is a dog, but slightly at a plus 161 in the composite, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal. LAFC is a plus 154, and your draw is a plus 246. So for Sporting, we go Kansas City here? Is that how they're doing it? There we go. Sporting Kansas City. That makes no sense. No Zorhan Basong, who's with Canada, and no Ian James was the US U17s. Then for LAFC, that was Sporting. Oh, they go KC. Okay, got it. Kansas City, LA, KL. Okay. And then for LAFC, no Denny Bouanga and no Nathan Ordaz. So Denny Bouanga is representing Gabon. And I think he scored in his matchup in AFCON qualifying as well yesterday. So no Bouanga, and that's a big loss for LAFC in trying to figure things out. I'd probably look at the under in Sporting maybe, or maybe go with Dejan Joveljic perhaps. Colorado and Portland, 940 kick. Colorado at a minus 127, draws a plus 282, and Portland is a plus 309. So we'll see what the formula for success is here. Portland, no Arujo, no Crepo, and no Ariel Lassiter. For Colorado, on the flip side, Wayne Frederick is out with Trinidad and Tobago. No Zach Steffen, who is with the U.S. out in Los Angeles. Colorado favored once again. Yeah, maybe. I'm looking more draw, perhaps at a plus 282. RSL, minus 105, taking on FC Dallas, and FC Dallas is a plus 267. Draws not much further away from that at a plus 262 in the composite. No Nolan Norris for FC Dallas, who's with the US U20s. Martin Pais got a call up for Indonesia, and that's a plane flight. Man, that's a plane flight. For RSL, so we'll go to Salt Lake. Xavier Gosa is with the U20s. Aiden Hezarkhani is with the U18s. Diego Luna, who should have been called in late in the second half last night. Dominic Marchuk is with the Polish U21s, and Gio Villa is with the U17s. RSL favored, understandably so. 10:30, Seattle and Houston in the Nico Ladero Revenge Bowl. It is Seattle at a minus 145, draws a plus 264, and Houston's a plus 404. In the revenge game for Houston coming to Seattle. So Seattle, no Nuhu, no Obed Vargas. For Houston, it is Jack McGlynn, Brooklyn Reigns with the U20s, and Sebastian Rodriguez with the U18s. Seattle favored, probably a safe play to minus 145. Houston north of plus 400. Vancouver and Chicago. Sicko late night action here. Is Chicago going to continue to be for real? Is Vancouver for real? Out of the blocks. Chicago, no Amari Glasgow, who's out for Guyana. Brian Gutierrez is out with the U.S. Vancouver, no Ali Ahmed, who's with Canada. Andres Cubas with Paraguay. Pedro Vite is with Ecuador. Brian White is with the U.S. Vancouver, you don't have Brian White, but you do have Ryan Gauld. And Chicago is coming in fairly full strength. So I'm leaning Chicago here. I really am. Vancouver out of the blocks with 4-0. I get it. They're doing pretty well. But I'm leaning maybe draw Chicago to plus 261. And then your Sunday match at 4 o'clock, Austin and San Diego. Los Verdes, minus 101 at Q2. Draws a plus 270, and San Diego to win outright's a plus 241. And so San Diego in theirs, no Anibal Godoy with Panama, no Paddy McNair, who's with Northern Ireland. And for Austin, no Jimmy Farkarloon with Liberia, no Alexander Svatok with Ukraine, no Mirto Uzuni with Albania, no Leo Väisänen, who is with Finland. So you don't have Uzuni on the right flank for you, but you do have most of your offense. Brandon Vasquez, perhaps, going up against San Diego. So we'll see what happens there. Austin, maybe you take the total in that one. Maybe you go over. So that's what you're looking at with those matchups. So that's your juice boxes. And that is all of the thoughts that are locked in for all of those matches coming up this weekend. David says subscribes to the Give One, Take One. Generally lenient with most folks. But, yeah, I mean, when it comes to merging, I don't have the kind of car that legitimately can outpunch somebody. it's like in Horrible Bosses, where Jason Bateman is being he's talking to the cop under interrogation, and he mentions that he drag races in a Kia and he doesn't win very much. I have a Subaru, and the thing literally sounds like it's got a Briggs & Stratton motor. So I know I can't outpunch somebody to a point, so I'm just like, yeah, whatever. So traditionally, it's one in, one out, or one in and then me, and you hope that the folks behind you are the same way. But traditionally, for me, if somebody is going to be faster on the draw than I am and have more of a V8 than my 2.8 liter engine or whatever the heck it is, it's fine. There are different battles to fight. There are more important battles to fight when it comes to those kinds of things. So, no skin off my nose. If somebody's faster, fine. I can't outpunch you, and I'm not going to worry about it. Tonight on the network, it is action with Jefferson and Oconee County. That is going to be at soccerdownhere.mixler.com. You can download the Mixler app. Speaking of downloading the Mixler app, here's what you can do there. Is you can go and just to show you. So GL. So you download the Mixler app. And maybe it'll show up. There we go. It's finally registering. But there's the matchups from Clarkston and Druid Hills from earlier this week. You can listen to everything that's archived back 120. I think 120 broadcasts are archived back. So last matchup we had was Clarkston and Druid Hills back on Monday for Monday Night Football. And so tonight it is going to be boys and girls, Oconee County and Jefferson, as I drop my phone. And so Oconee County and Jefferson at 6 and 8. That's on the network. So don't forget, you can download the Mixler app and you can listen to all the matches. You can listen to them live. You'll get email notifications if you follow SDH and SDH2, Soccer Down Here in SDH2. And when there's a live broadcast, you get an email. Oh, hey, Soccer Down Here's got a live broadcast on Mixler. Click here. So you can do it on the web, soccerdownhere.mixler.com or soccerdownhere and the number 2.mixlr.com if you just want to do it on the web. But you can also download Soccer Down Here. You can also download the Mixler app and then follow Soccer Down Here in SDH2. So when you've got broadcasts, you'll know about them and you can listen to all the broadcasts that we've got when they're done. So 6 and 8 tonight, Oconee County and Jefferson in Jefferson. Looking forward to seeing everybody there. It's going to be a very, very busy night apparently at the Jefferson Athletic Complex. It's going to be soccer and apparently track. And I'm trying to remember if track is at the football stadium or not. I think it is. I'm trying to remember. I think it is. So busy night there in Jefferson, just off of the highway. And so we'll be up there for that. I'll be up there for that and broadcasting at 6 and 8. Tomorrow morning on the network, it is, not on the network, but at atlutd.com/live. Maddie and Nick will have academy action for you. And that'll be fun. I think it's with CF Montreal in the 16s and the 18s. So it'll be atlutd.com/live with Maddie and Nick. And then Maddie is going to race from the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground down to Colony Square, where she and Abe will have the pregame for you, half-hour pregame, and then the full-time report after with Atlanta United and FC Cincinnati. So busy weekend for us here, starting today with me and Jefferson. Tomorrow, Maddie and tomorrow, Maddie and Nick are at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground for academy action with Atlanta United. Then Maddie is with Abe doing pre and post for Atlanta United and FC Cincinnati. Next week, by the way, we are jammed for high school action. Jammed, and that's the official term. It is the way that it's laid out is like this. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, we have all of the things. So Monday, it is Putnam County and Social Circle at Social Circle. It's the first time that we've been there. Tuesday, New Manchester and Kennesaw Mountain. First time that we will have been at Kennesaw Mountain. Wednesday, we get to catch our breath. Thursday, Warner Robins and Perry in Perry. So that means that Friday morning, I will be doing the morning show from a hotel room in Perry. And then it's Parkview and Brookwood on Friday at Brookwood. So next week, we have four game days. Putnam County Social Circle Monday, New Manchester, Kennesaw Mountain Tuesday, Warner Robins, Perry Thursday, Parkview, and Brookwood on Friday before Atlanta United takes on NYCFC at Mercedes-Benz on your Saturday. And then on Sunday, the 30th, it's your next chance to see action at the Fraction with Atlanta United 2 and with Chattanooga FC coming to town. The Twos are off this weekend, so that does help out with staffing when it comes to Atlanta United heading to Cincinnati. So should be interesting when it comes to filling out the game day 18s and what it's been like at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground all week long. And you can follow along with Jason and Maddie from Training Ground Dispatch, and you can get all the information there with Training Ground Dispatch and find out what's going on every day, that they can have a chance to breathe, stand in front of a camera, and let you know what's been going on with post-game, with post-practice sound and everything. So Training Ground Dispatch here on the network, once again, presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. So looking forward to all of that, as we should. So it's another filled weekend here at SDH with all of us going a bunch of different places and letting you know what else is going on in and around the planet. So, Open Cup. I forgot about Open Cup. So last night, Open Cup continued, and we did have another cup set. We do have one Open Cup matchup today, by the way, and it is New York Flatirons and Union Omaha. So Union Omaha traveling to the Northeast, and they are a minus 128. 90-minute draws a plus 292. The Flatirons are a plus 247. Yesterday, the handful of matches that went on in Open Cup, it was Tormenta, no problems with Harbor City. It took a little while for the engine to turn over, but by the end of the day, they won 3-0 at a minus 556. Long Island and Charlotte Independence. The Rough Riders had a lead early, and they were favored at a plus 137. So I don't know if knocking off the Rough Riders out of the NPSL is considered a cup set if you were a dog. But Charlotte Independence at a plus 181. Draw was a plus 211. Went longer than 90 minutes. Charlotte Independence would get the win eventually 3-2. Ford Madison, no problem with our friend John Schuster and Duluth FC appearing in Open Cup. Ford Madison won that one 5-1 at Breeze Stevens at a minus 256. Carolina Core had a 3-0 lead on Soda City. They hung on 4-2. Carolina Core to minus 1429. Got the win. I'm going to check the total here real quick. So I'm going to check the total and see what the totals were here. So over under with Carolina Core and Soda City. Sometimes you just it's like, you look at Leroy Jenkins and the whole thing goes sideways. So here we go. Okay, so 6. If you had 5.5, you were at a plus 307 on the total. So that was your way to counteract the large number involving Carolina Core. And so if you had over under a 5.5 at a plus 307, that was where you got your inroads in that one. Then the last one on last one on the board, FC Cincinnati 2 and New York Pan Cyprian. New York Pan Cyprian wins it in penalties at a plus 1260. They made it through 90 minutes. By the way, Pan Cyprian to win outright was a plus 2443 in 90 minutes. Pan Cyprian wins it in sudden death penalties at a plus 1260. FC Cincinnati 2 hit the post in the top of the 6th, and they converted in the bottom of the 6th. So New York Pan Cyprian, your 6th cup set in Open Cup in this round. And so we bring in Jason to so 6th cup set, right?
Yep.
How much Open Cup did you have on last night with everything else? Because I know that we've been times where we've had like 3 and 4 notices and things like that, and monitors going on all at once.
You got notices going on right now, John. What's happening?
Free up storage space. Your computer's running low on storage space. Visit storage settings to free some up.
John,
But
you're gonna melt down everything.
This is what I don't understand, among other things.
What do you not understand?
All right, so if I have a desktop, if I have the computer that is here, and I
do have it, yes.
I go into settings, So
Sure.
I go into settings and I see storage.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I have apparently less than 1 gig free on 465 gigs in the local drive, the C drive.
Yeah.
But with my apps and features, I only have 427 gigs used. And then I click into apps and features, and there's no way that 427 gigs take up that much space with everything that they have listed.
Mm-hmm.
How the hell do I get 427 gigs used when I look at the grid of everything that's there and I don't see 427 gigs adding up? How does this happen?
I don't know. You need a bigger hard drive, John.
Well, but the thing is, if I go to my D drive, I have a tera drive available, and it's like 1.61 terabytes available, and I've got most of that available to me, but I still on the local drive, the C drive, I literally have less than 1 gig left, and I don't know how that happens.
Why don't you move some stuff from the C drive to the D drive, John?
I can do that?
I mean, yes.
Okay. I was not aware that I was trying to figure out how to move the C drive to the D drive yesterday, but I didn't know that it was as easy as sliding that kind of stuff over.
Okay.
I mean, that seemed like the logical thing to me. It's like, let's move stuff from the C drive to the D drive, but it's like, is it just as easy as sliding things over like we normally do, or do I have to sit there and turn it into something akin to Operation from Milton Bradley?
John, you might need the Geek Squad.
I've got a contract with the Geek Squad, so I'm sure that they could help.
You might need them to make a house call.
Okay. All right, just checking. What has life been like at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground this week for Atlanta United getting ready for FC Cincinnati with all the folks playing international duty?
Not that hectic. Not as hectic as your hard drive situation. I can tell you that much.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get to see much of training yesterday. Had a meeting early in the morning. Did get to see Alexei Moranchuk and Ronnie Dyla speak to the media, and got a chance to see the Tuesday session, which was more of a recovery day, having played on Sunday for both the first and the second team. Look, it's not an ideal week, and Ronnie Dyla's talked about it. I think pretty much every manager around the league has talked about it. I get the calendar situation, and I don't talk to me about Leagues Cup. That's not the bigger issue here. There's a bigger issue in terms with FIFA and international breaks, and there's too many of them. The fall international breaks, there should not be one in September and then October and then November. That's too much, too quick of succession. It's stupid, and FIFA needs to get their calendar in order. We don't necessarily need these Nations League competitions. They have created some good things. I think in CONCACAF they've created some good things. Panama's pretty happy about Nations League these days.
Yes.
The U.S. has been happy about it before. They've won the previous 3. So we can all freak out and yell and scream and stomp our feet and tell everybody that they didn't want it enough. We can do all that all day. But these competitions, in my mind, are just not as important as the club competitions. The club competitions drive the day-to-day. The club competitions are how these players get paid. I think you need to get the Nations Leagues in check and figure out, can you eliminate at least one international window and maybe 2. Maybe you have one longer one as opposed to 2 shorter ones. I don't know. Figure it out. But all that being said, MLS should have had another midweek round in the summer or late spring as opposed to playing this weekend. The league's at a point where you're going to have a lower attendance generally on a Wednesday versus a Saturday. That's true everywhere. But you have enough markets that are going to draw well enough to have a better product on the field for a midweek game in May and June than doing it now. So it's, for Ronnie Dyla, look, what are you supposed to do? You got one center back. You got Derek Williams. You've got guys who have played center back, but you have one center back between 2 teams that you can count on here. Efrain Morales and Luis Abram started against one another in South America last night. Noah Cobb got called up to the U20s. That's great for Noah. Stian Gregerson with Norway. You have one center back from your first and your second team of guys that you can count on. That's not an ideal situation. Cincinnati's got a more complicated situation because of injuries and a red card suspension at center back, but they're struggling too. So what is this game going to look like? I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. Like, are you going to play 3 center backs? Because if you play your regular one in Atlanta with Derek Williams, do you put 2 fullbacks basically on either side? Matt Edwards has played some center back. Ronald Hernandez has played less center back in a line of 4, but he's done it by necessity at least 1 or 2 times. I don't know. Luckily, on the Atlanta side, more of your attack is intact, although you're missing Miguel Almiron. Cincinnati's missing Danke. I have no idea what we're going to look like this week. And for managers this week, you're trying to get guys ready, but also like you have to manage everybody's fitness levels, so you can't overdo it. You kind of have to trust your gut, and you kind of have to see what works, and then have a few different possibilities to change it up if it doesn't work.
On the flip side, for Cincy, no Dinky, no Teenage Adibi. Gilberto Flores is out on a red. Chirilla's out on international duty. Miazga's not back to full song. Laurel Failer did report that it looks like, according to Pat Noonan yesterday, both Miles Robinson and Nick Hagland available for selection. Hagland spent some time with FC Cincinnati too. Probably could have used him last night against Pan Cyprian. Just saying. But Cincinnati's got questions as well. Laurel was trying to figure out, is it Powell? Is it Yedlin? Initially with Engel, I mean, there were just as many questions up there as there were down here, it seemed.
I think for Cincinnati, it's a little bit easier to play 3 center backs. So you could bring an Alvis Powell, an experienced player, in. You could bring Yedlin in, although you don't want to lose his speed out wide. My guess would be somebody like Powell. Robinson coming back from an injury where he had to leave the match in the first half last week. I can't imagine he's going to be at 90 or at 100%, maybe not even 90%. Hagland's played 2 games for their 2s lately. Like, he hasn't played much at all. So I don't know what to expect out of that either. Again, both teams, you're piecing it together. Noonan and Dyler are both going to be guessing and trying things. You're just going to have to. And you have to have a gut feeling about what the best way to start is, and you have to have a couple of different possible fixes if it doesn't work, or just the usual stuff. How do you go chase the game if you have to do that, and how do you defend a lead if you have to do that?
I know that we kind of been drifting in and out of the conversation about what happened last night at SoFi with the national team.
Mm-hmm.
What were your thoughts and what were your takeaways with what happened last night, now that the U.S. is going to be playing in the 3rd place game for Nations League and not the 1st place game?
You got beat on a counter against a team that sat back and defended the entire time. We've seen this before. Every team in the world has seen this at various points. It's the cruelty of the game at times, but it can be an effective strategy when you're undermanned, and Panama was undermanned. They were missing guys from their usual group. They don't have the same level of talent as the U.S. They created a structure that worked, and it led to a goal. I think Tony Meola's breakdown of Matt Turner's mistakes in the goal is must listen. If you haven't played goalkeeper at that kind of a level, like Tony, like Matt, you need to hear that so you understand how difficult it is and how technical it is. So next time you just blame a goalkeeper for a goal getting passed, you need to know why. And I noticed the positioning, and I felt like it was off by a step. I didn't notice the footwork issue with it as well. And I think Meola was dead on in the fact that this is sharpness. When you can do all the training you want and you can work hard and you can, grind on the practice field, but when you're not playing games in that moment, making that save, you're not going to be as sharp as you should be. And Matt Turner's not doing that. We've said this for a while now. He needs to be at a place where he's going to play. He has to, or he's not going to be playing in the World Cup next summer. Patrick Schulte right now is playing. Zach Steffen right now is playing. Zach Steffen probably would have made that save. Patrick Schulte probably would have made that save because they're sharper. Ultimately, and I don't like. Actually, I'm not surprised by a lot of the conversation around this because it's a lot of the same things that were said during the Greg Berhalter era, which maybe Greg Berhalter's owed a few apologies because it's not about the manager as much as it is the level of talent. You have a team that is very good. You have a team that is talent-wise, depends on the day. I mean, anywhere between 10 and 30. I go round and round about where to put it because once you get past the top 10 teams in the world, it's a crapshoot in that next tier. And some days you'll be more like a 10, some days you'll be more like a 30. That's not good enough to walk into a game and just expect to win. You can't just out-talent people at that level because you can drop off, another 20, 30, 40 teams in terms of rankings, and they've got guys who can beat you. You get down to the individual moments, and especially in a game like this where Panama's playing a 5-4-1 and they're sitting back deep. The things that Pochettino said after the match that really stuck with me were that willingness to risk was not there. That willingness to get into duels was not there. When you get into a game like this and about halfway through the first half, it's pretty evident how it's going to play out. They're going to sit back. You have to move the ball. There's like increasing levels of urgency, in my opinion. You have to move the ball quickly side to side to try to open them up. The field was less than 70 yards wide, and it'll be wider for the World Cup. Don't start freaking out. Don't write your think pieces. You can hit delete on those. They're going to take out 3 rows of seats at SoFi because the geniuses who built the place didn't think about how wide the field needed to be for international soccer. Good work, guys. Hopefully you get billed for taking out the 3 rows of seats. I don't know. Maybe a World Cup was coming that you might want to host. Genius.
And your owner, kind of knows about.
Genius. One of the dumbest things I've heard about all this. But the field itself played great. It just wasn't wide enough. So playing a 5-4-1, hey, it's even more effective on a field that's not quite 70 yards wide. So you're the U.S. You see what they're going to do. It's very obvious straight away. All right, move the ball quickly side to side. Try to open things up. Sideways passes can be good. Backwards passes can be good. But you have to try to open it up. It was too slow. All right. You're not getting the speed side to side. You're not skipping the passes. You're not going from the left wing, the left back, in this case, Joe Scally. You're not going all the way across to the right center back, Edwards. You're not going further, or Richards. You're not going further over all the way up to the opposite side of the field to Musa. You're not skipping people. All right. You're not going to do that. You're not moving the ball fast enough side to side. Okay, cool. Get your 1v1s and go for them. Problem is, the way you're going to look for those is generally out wide. Musa and Scally aren't necessarily great 1v1 guys. Okay, got to try that. That's not going to work. All right, cool. Then you got to go to another level of urgency, which is more risk. You got to hit long diagonals side to side. You got to try to get in behind, even if it's basically impossible against a 5-4-1 on a 68-yard wide field. Okay, the reason why you have to do that is it changes the tempo of the game, and it makes Panama's defenders either have to drop back and try to defend with guys running at them to win a aerial duel, or you get it over their head that one time, and they have to turn and they have to run towards their end line. Cool. You probably won't win a lot of those straight away. That's fine. Then you press. Then you try to find a way to change the tempo, change the way the game's being played. That was my frustration in the moment was you didn't really, outside of finding Tim Weah a few more times, getting him into a few more 1v1s in the second half, you didn't see any difference in the way that the team was playing. And Mauricio Pochettino and his coaching staff, just like Greg Berhalter and his coaching staff, can tell guys, look for this, do this. You can tell them all day. They can't call a timeout and call a different play. Players have to do those things, and they have to be willing to fail to try to change what is happening. You're going to fail on 50-50s. That's why I don't like them in general. I want to keep the ball. I want to work the ball around to open a team up. But if they're not going to be opened up, and Panama wasn't, they were very organized, they got the job done, they're not going to open up, then you've got to find a way to do it. And sometimes creating a little more chaos with those diagonals, those long balls, knowing that you're probably going to lose some, but it gives you an ability to put pressure on. Sometimes that can change the way the game's being played. The U.S. didn't do enough to change the way the game was being played. They get punished the other way on a mistake. Third shot of the game for Panama goes in the back of the net. Curtains. Now you got to play Canada in a third place game that nobody wanted, and you better show something, because Canada would love nothing more than to make this a street fight and beat you, and you then lose 2 games in your only competitive games before the Gold Cup, and in the Gold Cup is your only competitive games before the World Cup. And the Gold Cup, you're not going to be at 100% anyway because of some guys being away with Club World Cup and just being in the summer as well. So, good times. That sucked. Now you got to find a way to bounce back from it. It has to be something that you learn from. And I want to see if anybody else in this roster can take that step forward of, I'm not going to allow this to happen on my watch. And you just don't have a lot of those guys right now that are at the ability level to do it. Cool. I need somebody who can front like they're at that ability level and try to inspire the group to play with more urgency in games like this. You know, Tyler Adams, I think, has some of that in him. I think Weston McKennie has some of that in him. You've got to see some of that in these games, and we didn't see enough of it last night, and they lost because of it.
How many more minutes do I have you?
Like 2 or 3.
Okay, CONMEBOL last night. Peru over Bolivia 3-1. Brazil over Colombia 2-1. Paraguay over Chile 1-0. What'd you think?
Brazil has bounced back after a slow start to qualifying. Vinicius Jr. trying to get a yellow card for time wasting was one of the most idiotic things that I've ever seen, because that would have had him suspended for a game against Argentina. And if you're a Brazilian legend, and Vinny is, he's that good, and you're trying to get suspended for a game against Argentina that counts, what the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, why are you losing your head in that moment? Rafinha, who's your Ballon d'Or winner this year, is like shoving him off the field. He stops again to like mess with his socks. He's trying to waste time, gonna get a yellow card, gonna get suspended. It looked like he was trying to get suspended. And that is a huge issue if I'm Brazil and I'm anybody else in that team, because what are you doing? Like, why? Peru's still alive. They get their win. They get Venezuela on Tuesday. A lot of eyes on Venezuela and Ecuador today. They won't pull away from teams if Venezuela wins. Tough place to play. I don't think they're going to do it. A loss or a draw, 7, 8, 9, and 10 are all still in play for that playoff spot. And Peru can jump right back into it if they can beat Venezuela on Tuesday. The top 6 are the top 6. I don't know what order they're going to finish in, but they're all going to come to the World Cup in 2026.
All right, travel plans before you get out of here.
Yep, heading to Cincinnati this afternoon. Pregame coverage tomorrow starting at 1:30. The day for all of us in the SDH network starts at 9 a.m. U18 Atlanta United versus Montreal. Madison Cruz, Nick Alifi on the call for that. ATLUTD.com/live at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Then 1:30. Pregame coverage starts on 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app. It'll be Abe Gordon. It'll be Madison Cruz from Colony Square in Midtown Atlanta. Mike Conti and I will be in Cincinnati at TQL Stadium. We'll have Chris Henderson with us in the midway portion of the pregame show, probably right before 2 o'clock. You're going to listen to the whole thing, but just, go ahead and set in a little extra timer to make sure you're not going to get a sandwich during the Chris Henderson interview. And then 2:40 kickoff, and then we'll be back to watch the rest of the night in MLS with a whole bunch of new faces playing for a whole bunch of teams that are missing a whole bunch of guys due to international call-ups, which tells you a lot about the quality of Major League Soccer at the moment, that so many players and so many big name players are getting called up for national teams. But it's going to make for a wild weekend.
No doubt about it. Go to your stuff. We'll be listening.
Adios.
All right, there goes Jason. And so no, it's always fun to catch up with Jason on a bunch of different things. Today, you've got England and Albania, 345. Big number for England at a -769. Albania almost a +2,200. Poland, big favorite against Lithuania. Romania -115 against Bosnia-Herzegovina. Ecuador -270 hosting Venezuela. Oh, it's Venezuela at a +872. Draws a +346. Uruguay, Argentina. Uruguay is a +159 hosting Argentina at a +209. Your 90-minute draw is a +185. Let's see. And that would do it for tonight, I believe. Like I said, checking my numbers. and my geography. Yeah, Ecuador, Venezuela, Uruguay, Argentina, and I think that's it for the first half of the window. And then everybody sneaks back around for the second half of the window on the 25th. It is all 10 teams active. Bolivia, Uruguay, Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Ecuador, Colombia hosting Paraguay, Venezuela hosting Peru. 4 matches kicking off at 8 o'clock on the 25th, and 4 days from now. And then Bolivia and Uruguay is a 4 o'clock in the afternoon kick to start things off in match day 2 in this particular window. Okay, so gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it before we get out of here. Once again, Laurel Pfahler, Miles Robinson, Nick Hagland available for selection. No Hadibi, no Flores, no Miazga. And so, we'll figure it out what it looks like for FC Cincinnati. Kevin Denke and Stefan Chirilla also away for international duty as well. So Miles was back on the pitch on Wednesday working off to the side, but Pat Noonan says he's going to be available for the weekend. For how many minutes? We don't know. So we'll find out. All right. So gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it for today and possibly tomorrow, depending on what is available today. But like I said, 6 and 8 tonight on the network. It is Oconee County at Jefferson, and I will be up there for that. Once again, 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Maddie and Nick doing atlutd.com/live with Academy duty before Maddie sprints down to Colony Square, as Jason was saying. Okay, Gold Cup qualifying, 7 and 10 o'clock tonight on FS2. St. Vincent and the Grenadines in Jamaica, Belize, and Costa Rica. World Cup qualifying all day long on the Plus. It is 3, 6, 9, 11 matches. The CAF matchups are all there. Botswana and Algeria is over, as is Equatorial Guinea and Sao Tome y Principe. You've got 4 that kick off at noon, 2 at 3, 2 at 5, and 1 at 5:30. Fox Soccer Plus, our friends from San Marino have Cyprus. Got to take care of business. 1 o'clock. Poland, Lithuania is at 3:45. Gold Cup qualifying, Suriname, Martinique, Guadeloupe, and Nicaragua at 6 and 8. FUBO, Romania, Bosnia, Herzegovina, 3:45. Pay-per-view on what's going on in CONMEBOL. Once again, Ecuador, Venezuela, Uruguay, Argentina, 5 and 7:30. VIX has England and Albania at 3:45. Bermuda, Honduras at 6:30. Guyana, Guatemala at 8:30. Open Cup Flatirons in Union Omaha is at 9. On the women's side, Prime has Orlando and Chicago at 8 from the NWSL. DAZN USA, French Premier League is Guingamp and PSG at 4. ESPN 3 has the A-League tonight at 11 o'clock, Wellington, Phoenix, Central Coast Mariners. VIX has Liga MX Femenil, Tijuana and Mazatlan at 11 o'clock tonight. Tomorrow, just to let you know where things are, FS1 World Cup qualifying in Europe, 10 a.m. FS2, 1 p.m. Fox Deportes has a friendly with Tigres and Pumas at 8. Season Pass for MLS has all the matchups that we were talking about. On the Plus, World Cup qualifying, Spanish Segunda, USL Championship, USL League One, including Texoma's first ever home match in USL League One as they take on One Knox at 8 o'clock. Fox Soccer Plus, Euros, Wales and Kazakhstan. FUBO has Montenegro, Gibraltar, Israel, Estonia, 1 and 3:45. Tubi has World Cup qualifying at 1. Golazo Network, League 2 early in the morning. Wrexham and Stockport County at 11, 2 in the USL Championship the evening. Paramount Plus League 2 has Notts County Crew Alexandra, Cheltenham, and MK Dons. I forgot, I'm not supposed to mention them by name. League 1, Wrexham, Stockport County in the 2 games in USL Championship. Ion doubleheader in the NWSL. 2 to NA Liga MX Femenil. DAZN USA, DFB Pokal, French Premier League, and Primera División Femenina. English Women's Super League, Arsenal and Liverpool at 1:30 on the Plus. A-League on ESPN 3 at 5 a.m. Fox Soccer Plus, Serie A at 11 a.m. NWSL Plus, 2 matchups in the league. USL Super League, Fort Lauderdale and Spokane on Peacock. VIX has a triple header Liga MX Femenil. YouTube, Barclays Women's Super League, Everton Crystal Palace, 10 a.m. Wow. Okay. Gossip and rumor and innuendo before we get out of here. Now, catch your breath. Almost done. And we'll go and get ready and have fun for another week. Okay. So it appears Manchester United, according to the 3-letter paper, ready to go all in on Jared Branthwaite and get him from Everton. Deal might hinge on Champions League qualification. Villa has the option to make their loan deal for Marcus Rashford permanent for £40 million. Liverpool remain confident. Salah and Van Dijk will sign new contracts with the club. That's from Ornstein. Manchester United chasing Dortmund midfielder Felix Nemecha, 24, who they hope to recruit for £40 million. That's from Bild. Liverpool stepping up their pursuit of Xavi Simon from RB Leipzig for around €80 million. Newcastle have made Bournemouth's Dean Hewson their number one defensive target, three-letter paper. Bournemouth looking to sign Kepa on a permanent from Chelsea this summer. Liverpool and Chalman Kelleher also of interest. Thiago Motta's position at Juve under threat, subject to internal discussions at the club from Fabrizio Romano. Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, all preparing summer moves for Ajax defender Yoel Hato, facing competition from Real Madrid. Liverpool, capacity to spend over $100 million on a new striker. Darwin Nunez is expected to leave. So that brings in Madison Cruz. Maddie, what is up? Hey.
What's up?
You tell us. You're the one that's been globetrotting this week, and we have the Training Ground Dispatch, the TGD with you and Jason. What are some of your takeaways as we enter a fun weekend for MLS for the roster sickos and trying to figure out who's going to be doing what and where? So you were in a car yesterday heading to practice, or you were at practice, freezing in your car.
Yes.
What are you looking forward to in this very busy weekend?
Oof. I mean, I think looking for teams to just not, not crumble. But I mean, it is an international break. It's the 5th week. It comes with the territory. You're going to have so many teams missing so many people. I mean, I know at least for just Atlanta, 10, which is crazy. But it's also a credit to the high quality players that we do have. So it is a blessing. It's a blessing. In this moment right now, obviously for a lot of us going up on the road to Cincinnati, it's a little bit of a curse because, you want to have those players with you. You want to have the depth. But I don't know. I'm excited to see some of the new guys step up, or some of the players that we all know pretty well, like that we've seen for a while, really step up in these roles, because it's going to be interesting. Because now it's like, okay, you don't have Miguel. What are you going to do? Are you going to move Saba back to the right? Are you going to keep him there in that same position, put someone else on the right? Like, what's it looking like? Because initially I was talking about this to someone and I was like, oh, well, like you could put Luke Brennan in. And I said, no. I said, Luke is with US U20s.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be fun. I'm excited to see how every team handles it, because I think that's going to be a testament to how every team handles it, because not every team is having this issue. So we'll see.
Yep, the backline for Atlanta is obviously the concern. Backline for Cincinnati, just as much of a concern because of injuries. How many minutes? We know that Miles and Nick Hagland are available. Don't know how much you can get from them. You've got some big names.
Miles is available. I heard he was not.
Yeah, Laurel Failer from Laurel Failer, Queen City Press. She mentioned that Pat Noonan said yesterday that Miles is available. Like I said, don't know how many minutes, but he is available. Same for Nick Hagland, who had 2 matches with FC Cincinnati too.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, available, yes. How many minutes? Don't know. So that's one of the big things. For Cincinnati, no Denke, no Hadibi, no Gilberto Flores, no Chirilla, no Miazga. So the back line for FC Cincinnati, don't know. With Atlanta's offense, once again, you don't have Miggy, but you do have everybody else. You've got Latte Lot, you've got Saba, you've got Miranchuk, you've got Shande, obviously looking at the health of Jamal. We don't know where he is. Ronald Hernandez, health update. Do we have one?
He was training with the team yesterday. So he was training. I believe he is available for the match.
Okay. And so,
that's what was told to us yesterday in media. Because you're looking at him and possibly Matt Edwards filling in for the center back position.
Yep. So you're looking at Pedro, Derek, center back Brooks. Midfield also, do we have a Mateus Klick update?
Mateus Klick was also as well. He walked out to training, came out a little bit later, but he was training. I'm not exactly sure if it's he's training with the team and he's going to be available for tomorrow, or if it's he's training with the team, he's kind of there. He might be listed as questionable. He might be off the bench. We're not for sure.
What's your gut tell you about what the midfield's going to look like?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Because Jay is with the TNT.
You're going to put Tristan in for sure.
Yeah, so
Tristan's there. I would assume if Klick is available, it'd be Klick and Tristan. I don't know. This is me assuming because he went out and he was training with the team. I'm gonna assume that it's Click. So I would assume it'd be Click and Tristan.
Okay. And then obviously, I know that Jamal was on the board. You're trying to look at him last week unavailable. What was Jamal at practice this week? Was he off to the side with the club? What was it with Jamal?
So it was funny. He was off to the side. He was off to the side training. He was off to the side training by himself. So that one again is also kind of questionable as to going to.
So then it's probably Togashi that we are looking at as a part of what we're looking at. And with the twos not having a match this weekend, you can get support there from Javi Armas if he's back to health, Ryan Carmichael. So there are some roster options that you can have outside of the starting position to give you a match day 18. Like I said, I am intrigued to see what these numbers look like with everybody else off to international duty and how much twos participation we have leading into this matchup.
Yeah, you had a ton of twos players training with the first team yesterday. Obviously, that was also for bodies. You just need a lot of people to come in there to help train. But I would assume that you would need to take a couple of them to fill the depth roster, make sure that you have the 20 that you need. And then also, too, you had a lot of bodies yesterday. We saw Cooper Sanchez coming up there, Rodrigo Neri. You also saw Will Riley, who was a part of the first team. He was training up there as well. Ashton Gordon, Aiden Torres. You saw Moises Tablante, who was up there as well. Mazafero, Ronan Wynn. You had a lot of the twos players up there training with the first team. So I would anticipate that you have at least a couple of them making the trip to Cincinnati this weekend.
And also keep an eye on the photos that are posted on planing and deplaning to go to Cincinnati to see, oh, wait a second, who's that? Oh, yeah. And then that way you can sit there and see who makes the trip as another way to fill out your rosters. As we head into the rest of the weekend, I know that you and Nick have Academy tomorrow, bright and before early at atlutd.com/live. Once again, it's another chance to see the next wave for Atlanta United. Really looking forward to seeing what that's going to look like. What has study hall been like for you and Nick getting ready for that one?
I mean, I need to actually send Nick a text today to kind of figure that out because this is my first time actually calling a game with him. So I'm really excited. So yeah, just getting ready. I always love doing the U18s. U18s are a ton of fun. I'm interested who's going to be a part of it because as well, Dominic Chongqui and Caden Moore are off with the U18s for the U.S. men's national team. So you won't have them involved at all. So you'll see a lot of, I'm assuming we'll see Brayden Dunham check back in as well and be there with them. Jonathan Ransom as well. So you have a lot of spark talent, especially with Brayden Dunham. Obviously was player of the match in the first match for the twos. He's going to be someone to watch, especially in the ranks going forward. I was really impressed with him out there because he did not look like he was 17 or 18. He looked like he was full-fledged veteran at that point. He was ready to go.
Yeah, really looking forward to that as well. All right. The U.S. loses last night. We've also got other matchups in MLS. What else is on your radar, either from last night coming into tonight, whether it's Open Cup, national team, other MLS matchups? What else are you looking at from the remainder of this week?
Open Cup. It's my whole personality for the whole week. I love the Open Cup. I was so happy. Listen, fellow Soda City unfortunately fell last night. I was very upset about it.
Your Carolina core, so you were torn.
I was very torn either way. But, Carolina core made it through. That's going to be a ton of fun, especially MLS Next Pro side. South Georgia Tormenta, 3-0 victory. Let's go. So, yeah, Open Cup. I love the Open Cup. I think it's so fun. I enjoy it so much. Unfortunately, I don't know if there's any other games going on next week. I don't think there is. I think the next ones aren't until like April, May.
Yeah. Then that's
what I figured. So a little bit upset about that. But, yeah, no, U.S. lost to Panama. And, I mean, listen, Panama took their chance and they got it. U.S. didn't. They didn't. They had multiple chances and they couldn't put it away. It's as simple as that, Goals win games, and the U.S. men's national team just didn't put one in the back of the net like they should have. And Panama capitalized on it. And, yeah, it's unfortunate because you played really well and you had a lot of the control of the game. But, that just goes to show one moment can, mess it all up.
All right. That's a week. And so you get to go study, and you got things because you've got you've got Academy tomorrow before you go to Colony Square. So it's a very, very busy week for you. As always, follow her at Madison Cruise 7 on the 280 character app and all the other places for the TGD that comes out on the Instagram and all the other channels, Training Ground Dispatch and all of that. Maddie, as always, it's good to have you crash. Don't be a stranger, eh?
Never will do. I also have one thing, a little teaser for later on today. Two things, actually.
Okay.
One, be on the lookout. I had the chance to go to the U.S. Extended National Team Adapt and Thrive event yesterday. I caught up with Kate Ward and Stuart Sharp. Stuart Sharp's interview will be coming out later today, so keep an eye out for that. Really always great talking to Stuart. He's awesome. And it was great getting the chance to chat with everyone. Kate Ward's will be coming out in the next couple of days, maybe around the beginning of next week. So keep an eye out. Also, too, MLS Six Pack is coming out tonight at 7 p.m. We are going to have me and Jason Longshore are going to, get you ready for the chaos that is going to be happening this weekend. And then we're also going to chat with Terminal City FC's Joshua Ray to talk about the Vancouver Whitecaps.
Really looking forward to all those conversations. So set your notifications and make sure that everything is there when it comes to everything here at SDH. So Maddie, as always, you can come back. You know the key to the kingdom.
I have the password. I can get in whenever I want.
That is absolutely true. All right. So be safe and have great calls, and we'll catch up with you soon, my friend.
Absolutely. I'll talk to you later.
All right. There goes Maddie. It's always great to have Maddie come and crash. And so that means it's another week here at SDH. And so you know what that means. It's time for all of us to have the proper send-off for yet another week when it comes to SDH. So play it safe, everybody. Enjoy the games, all the things that we do on a weekly basis. We couldn't do it without you. So once again, thanks for hanging out with us tonight, 6 and 8. It is on soccerdownhere.mixlr.com and on the Mixlr app. Oconee County and Jefferson to start things off here. Maddie and Nick. Then that's early in the morning on Saturday with the Academy at atlutd.com/live. Jason and everybody else going on with Maddie and Abe and FC Cincinnati and Atlanta United. So all of that's happening coming up in just a little bit. So strap in, get your seatbelts fastened, tray tables to the fill up right and lock positions. Another big weekend. Mucha Pazzi, y'all play it safe. Time for us to get out of here, which means one thing. I thought maybe, perhaps. Oh, great. So now we're just having malfunctions all across the board. Anyway, so much for that idea. All right, we're out. Things are misbehaving, so forget it. It's not going to happen. We're going to continue to do things as we always do. So play it safe. It's the end of the show. That means I get to do this. We're out.